So happy to have Linda Katz of Breakthrough Counseling joining us this morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Good to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
We were talking about this a few moments ago, and on a much lighter note, with all the snow and the bad weather we've had, a lot of folks probably experiencing a little bit of depression, not being able to get out, but that's the simple side of depression, isn't it?
It can be. The things that we look at and see are things that last, symptoms that last beyond 2 weeks, and that they're fairly daily or 2 to 3 times a week. In other words, it interrupts what quality of life that you would like to have.
Now, it would seem in some ways obvious what some of the signs of depression or anxiety might be, but in your experience, what are some of those symptoms?
Well, for depression, one of the main symptoms is a difference in your eating pattern or your sleeping pattern, if that's interrupted a lot. Sadness that just lasts and lasts. You can't just seem to break out of it.
So like you said, more than the 2-week period of time.
Exactly, yeah. That you just can't seem to push through that. Things that just bother you in a way that kind of a thing would never have bothered you before, but yet it is really impacting how you're maybe talking to other people or just doing life.
And I guess that's where some of that anger might come in then as well.
You know, when you mentioned about the snow and all of that, one of the things I kept hearing in the news far too often was this domestic violence that happened. I even think somebody had taken a plunger, you know, a toilet plunger to a spouse during this, because it becomes so overwhelming if you do not have the tools and a way of coping that you feel like it's got to come out. So those are the kinds of things that manifest.
Well, you know, sometimes I think you can see those in other people, maybe yourself. What are some of the things that we can do to try and alleviate some of these symptoms or get out of our depression?
Good question. And part of the problem that people have in trying to implement something and get out of this is that the motivation doesn't seem to be there. They want to go about it a different way. But one of the things that can be done is journaling. And I know that sounds a little, I don't want to write. But if you'll journal your feelings and journal some of these things that are coming up in you and that you're feeling, it really does put them out there so that, at least you have that kind of a relief. Exercise, huge thing. And when we talk about exercise, people sometimes think, oh gosh, I've got to run 6 miles or I've got to do all that. Yes, exactly. And that isn't necessarily the case. Just walking the mall sometimes.
Just helping relieve some of that stress.
Exactly. Something that you don't normally do, but maybe do it for 20 minutes. Get on the treadmill, walk your neighborhood, of course, during the day when it's safe, and things like that, or just some little arm weights or cans out of your cupboard that are heavy. Anything that you're not used to doing that kind of distracts you and distracts your body into something else.
Okay, but it's not just anxiety and depression. You also work with folks with marital problems, child adolescence problems, so a little bit of everything. If folks are interested, they can just give you a call, and we're going to give that information out here in just a minute.
Okay, sure, you bet. That I would be happy to work with anybody. I do telephone consultation just to kind of screen to see where you're at with it. A lot of times people don't know when they need to go to a counselor. If the symptoms are lasting longer than 2 weeks and they're unable to really get any relief from it, calling a counselor and getting in touch with a counselor is probably the best bet. And if you go to a counselor, and some people have had that experience, they've gone, oh, I don't want to go to a counselor, I didn't like that person. There's a lot of counselors out there, and if there's somebody that you don't click with, find somebody else. Give them a call.